How's it? Welcome back to Bazzas Garage for part 3 of Billy Bob's budget backyard build. It's quite hard to say. So very luckily, I've managed to receive a package from Billy Bob, which is very good. So we're just going to open up this package because I think this package might have some bits that we need to make the build go a little bit further along. So I'm going well in here. We should have courier delivery. That's a good start. Definitely was a courier delivery. Hey! Whoa, look at that! We got lollies. Oh, thanks Billy Bob. Oh, I want to eat one now, but I can't talk and eat at the same time. Whoa! I'm going to buy all my stuff from Billy Bob because he's awesome. Right, so what we should have in here is some things that we need to progress the build a bit further. I've got prices in there, so I'll add those on to the prices at the end of it. What we should have is some lovely bearings for the steering, and I'll show you how they're going to work. So I've got the bearings that go into the bearing holders here. It's just like Christmas, only better because I didn't have to buy them. So got the bearing holders there, they go in between there and there, so that's awesome. We've got some bolts, and we've got a couple more heim joints. Now we needed the heim joints, and I'll show you why in a second. Right, so what we've done, if we have a look over here, we've got the front end. We've now fully welded the front end together, so you can see I've welded it there, and it's now, at the moment, it's just tacked into the front end. Now, there's a reason why it's just tacked in and not fully welded, because I did actually put it in and had a slight lapse of judgment, and I put it in around the wrong way. So luckily I had a plasma cutter and I managed to cut it out, turn it around and put it in the right way. So at the moment I've just tack welded it in there so I can check it's all good as we go through the thaw. So that's sort of like, yeah, we make mistakes, things go wrong, but hey, we can always fix it. So we've got that welded in there. Now what I did was I set up the angle that I wanted the mower to be at, and then I grabbed my very trusty level, which we'll talk about this a little bit later. And the idea is it doesn't matter what angle that the chassis is on, we want to make sure that when we put this on here, that it's straight up and down when we're sitting there. Now the reason for that is the caster and camber angles affect the way it steers. So it doesn't matter what the angle of the chassis is at, as long as this part is straight up and down, we're going to get the right sort of turn in and the better angle that we need to get better handling. So we've got all that welded in there. We've also flared the guards a little bit at the back. So we've managed to just flare these out a little bit, and obviously we'll make that a bit tidier, but that enabled us just to drop it down a little bit more, and we have to have removed the fuel tank. So we're not going to put the fuel tank in the back, no matter how much Billy Bob wanted it in there. It's just going to be sitting too high. We could drop this down lower, but we decided we weren't going to go any further to drop it lower. There's quite a bit more work involved in dropping it lower, so I'm pretty happy with the way that is anyway. We'll leave it as it is. So if we lift this up and stand this up here, hopefully it'll be a nice and stand there. So you can see that's tacked in there. So with the steering, what we're going to do is we've got these lovely new bolts that Billy Bob sent through to us. We've got the steering that we've got now. This is the steering link rods that I've made. These are actually off an old go-kart. Now they don't look very thick. Now there's two schools of thought with that. You can either go really big and thick like this size or this size, but then what happens is they don't bend. If they don't bend, it means something's got to break. I'm a big believer of, if you've got a link rod that bends, if you hit something, the link rod bends, you get a big hammer, you smack it straight and you keep racing. If you've got something like this, which is too strong, it'll hit, it'll break, and then you'll end up with broken pieces that you can no longer race for the day. Now I've run tie rod ends about this size for a few years, and yes, they've bent a few times. I've just smacked them with a hammer and kept on racing. So that's my theory behind that. So what I've also done is I've cut a slot in the side of here where these rods are going to go, basically going to go through. Have we got them the right way? So we're just going to put this in here. So the link rod's going to go in here. Now I know I'm putting the bolt around the wrong way at the moment, just because it's easier to put it in this way. So then that's going to go in there, and that's going to give us the ability to move. Now we can also adjust in here to give us a lock so we don't go too far in the turning. If it's not enough turn, we can grind a bit away and we'll get a bit more turn out of it. So we'll see how that pans out. the next thing that we've got is, I sort of come up with this idea, trying to make it as easy as possible, where I've drilled some holes in here and in here. Now the basic idea is that those heim joints can fit in the holes. I'll just grab the other one. Oh, Billy Bob, it didn't come with nuts for the heim joints. That's pretty budget. Oh well, anyway, so these will sit in here. I've got to grab a nut to put on there. Hang on, I think I've got a spare one around here somewhere. Hold that for. Maybe I haven't. No, I haven't. Doesn't matter. That's my stash of nuts and bolts all tidily put away in there. So the idea is that we're going to put 2 heim joints in there like that. We're going to run a... So this piece that I've made here, this is a piece of the 30mm, the same as the sided pieces here. I've drilled a 12mm hole through it. I've made up a flat plate and another one like this to go on the side. So all I did with this was cut the bit of steel and then used a hole saw and the drill press and just drilled the hole saw down to get that lovely little shape. So what's going to happen is this here is going to sit on the other side, and I've also cut a slot out here so that that's going to go through there, and then the bolt's going to go through there, and then what we can do is grab this nut and bolt. This will come up onto here. Okay, so I'm just temporarily assembling this just so you can see what it's going to look like. So effectively what we've got now is this is all linked together, so when this moves as well. So what I'm going to do is this piece here, I'm going to weld onto the side of there. I'm going to then cut another slot down through here, and I have a piece of 20mm rod here. So this 20mm rod is going to slide through. It's going to slide through there. That's what these bearings are for. So these bearings that we've got here are going to slide over there. There's going to be a bearing here and a bearing at the top so that they can turn nice and easily. Then we're going to have another piece that's attached to the end of here, and that link rod is going to come up through to attach to the piece that's sitting there. So I haven't done that yet. Effectively what's going to happen is that will be on there, that will go on there, and it's going to sit right up against the chassis up here. So the pulley will actually be lower and the steering will all be protected and won't get damaged from underneath. So I've just got to make the piece from there to there. Now I've got the bearings, I can put those in, make up the shaft, weld it together again, and then we'll have our steering all sorted. The other thing we have to do is I've got to make a steering boss here. So this is the steering wheel here. So this steering wheel, I've got a piece of I think it's 5mm plate. I'm going to cut out that shape, drill a hole in there, weld that to there, and then I can bolt the steering wheel onto there. So that's going to give me the ability to put a steering wheel on the top of it, and obviously the other piece on the bottom of there. So that's effectively where we're at the moment with the build. There's a couple of things I just wanted to just share with you quickly. A couple of my favourite little tools which are really handy. One of them is this thing here. It's a white paint pen. Now you may have seen on here, you can do a little white mark, and it's really, really good. It stays there when you're gas cutting, when you're welding. You can see that white mark even through your goggles. So well worth getting one of these white-out pens. The other thing is my newfound friend is this level with a magnet on it. So when you want to use it, it just sits magnetically on there. It's awesome. When you're working on these sort of things, it's really important to set this up sitting there and check that it's level while you're working on it, because it gives you a reference point to make sure that you can get everything else level to it. So when I put this front end in, I laid this down with the rear wheels on. I checked that the chassis was level. I put some blocks of wood on it to get it sitting exactly where I wanted to, checked that it was perpendicular, and then tacked it into place. So that made it really, really good. So get yourself a little level, really handy. The other thing that's really worth getting hold of is one of these, which is a really, really cheap and nasty vernier, digital vernier. They're about, I don't know, $10 on AliExpress or whatever. and they are just invaluable, because if you want to do quick measuring of things to find out what the size of a bolt is, you can just go zero it, open it up and go, yep, that's about pretty close to 12 mil, all good. So I reckon those are very invaluable tools, well worth investing in. That'd be sort of the things that I would suggest you get hold of if you're building some stuff at home. So that's about it for Bazzas Garage today. I'm going to take a milkshake and possibly a Bounty, and I might follow it up with a Snickers because I'm feeling kind of peckish. So yeah, that's it for Bazzas Garage today. Catch up with us next time. Hopefully we'll have all the steering done. We can show you how it works, and then we're trucking along quite nicely. So until next time, see you all.